got some huge news around the New Orleans Saints defense, and specifically the new look at the defense for 2025 under Brandon Staley. My name is Trizzy Trace Girouard. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's video. We got a very special show for you here on Saints Now by Chat Sports. I highly encourage you to stick around throughout the duration of this video because we have a very special guest here on today's show. I'm not going to reveal any secrets, but maybe take a hint here on your screen. But I will encourage you to check out our full interview with rookie linebacker Danny Stutsman. Him and his dad, Steve, were kind enough to spend a little bit of time here with me over Zoom, and we were able to have an awesome conversation. So if you want to learn more about him, if you want to learn more about the Saints defense and what to expect this year, I highly encourage you to check out the entire interview. But in today's video, we're going to take a sneak peek of Brandon Staley's defense and how the Saints are building this thing for the future with respect to the veterans that are on the roster, while also trying to be conscious and build something that can be sustainable in terms of continued success in the future. So first things first, I want to leave it up to none other than Danny Stutsman to explain what to expect from the Brandon Staley defense. I could talk about it all day, but who better than somebody who's actually playing in it? Would you help me and the other Saints fans kind of paint a picture of what the Brandon Staley defense could look like?
I mean, absolutely. It's very multiple. There's a lot of different looks, a lot of different things you're going to see, a lot of different packages, but ultra aggressive, very multiple. And at the end of the day, we don't want to give them an inch. We don't want to give them a yard.
Now, obviously, Brandon Staley is going to be implementing a 3-4 base scheme here in New Orleans. Traditionally, and over the last few years, especially with Dennis Allen being the defensive mind that's led the team, it's been a 4-3 where you have 4 down linemen. Now we're going to have 3 down linemen, 4 linebackers. So 2 of them will be on the inside, 2 of them will be like edge rushers, and then 4 defensive backs. Alontae Taylor will have a very interesting role. He'll have like that star position. It'll be very unique, and he'll get to do a lot of things in a Jalen Ramsey-esque role with the similar usage of how Brandon Staley used him in the Rams. The core principles are versatility, flexibility. They want to be ultra aggressive. They are going to be multiple. They're going to be modern. They don't want to give the team an inch. And I absolutely love that. In 2024, New Orleans was not that great when it came to the defensive side of the football. They started off hot, no question about it. They had some good moments throughout the year, but overall, they definitely need to be better. They did not rank very highly in most categories, and they also were at the bottom of the league in a handful of the ones that you see on your screen. In total sacks, they only had 29. That was tied for 18th. In points per game, 23.4. That was 19th. Opponent yards per game, they were almost dead last with 379.9. The Saints defense in 2024 was not a strong point. However, I do believe the defense in 2025 will be improved. I think that not just because of the players that you have on the roster, but simply the new scheme, the new coaching staff, Bo Davis being the defensive line coach. I think a lot of these factors will be very, very positive and lead to great things on the defensive side of the football. The defense will be more modern. They'll be fast. They'll be aggressive. I absolutely am fired up just thinking about it. It's like remember the Titans. We blitz every play. It makes me so fired up. I absolutely am excited about the Saints defense, and I'm really happy that Brandon Staley is the defensive coordinator. I thought it was a great hire at the time. I still believe that it was a great hire, but I want to hear from you. Are you happy that Brandon Staley is the defensive coordinator in New Orleans? I'm glad he's not a head coach. It's not as much pressure. I don't think that this is a guy that is going to have teams itching to go and hire him anytime soon. So I think that Brandon Staley could be around for a handful of years. He's a very creative, very innovative defensive mind, and I'm excited to see what he does. Type happy, or type H for happy, type NH for not happy. How are you feeling about Brandon Staley being the play caller on the defense? Now, if you aren't excited, I think you should be. And I'm going to tell you a handful of reasons why you should get excited, because this is a new team. It's a fresh-looking squad. You have the youngest head coach in the National Football League right now. He is a creative, innovative offensive mind in Kellen Moore. I think that he can really appeal to a quarterback. I'm excited to see how he works with Tyler Shuck, but defensively as well, I think that there's going to be so much fire, so much electricity in that squad, and Danny Stutsman laid out the expectations, and he has a lot of really interesting things to say, so I'm going to kick it to him. What can we get excited about on Sundays as Saints fans?
we're hungry. We want to win. We're bringing in a winning culture. We're led by one of the best coaches right now, a young up and comer. Kellen Moore. He's great. He every single day he brings the energy. He brings what we need. He has the blueprints what it takes to win a championship, win a Super Bowl. He's done it before. Where he was, and now he's bringing in some veteran leadership. We're bringing guys, older guys, younger guys, and we've all come together every single day. We're up there. We're excited. People want to be at practice. People want to get better. People are eager to break down film with the coaches. Want to staying after to watch. Special teams. Dudes are fighting for positions, fighting for jobs, and they really want to win. That's something that's in the culture that's talked about every single day. I think we have everything that we need. People always ask me, how does this team stack? And this is the best NFL team I've ever seen. It is also the only one. But, as far as it goes, it's the best group of guys I've seen that I've been able to play with.
It's really cool hearing from a defensive player's perspective on an offensive coach, especially considering he is the head coach. It's really nice to hear that he has such glowing remarks about him. I love the idea and the fact that this team is hungry. I love that Stutsman described this team as already having a winning culture installed because of Kellen Moore and because of the success that some of these guys have had. I think that it's really cool that this team has energy. And I think when Stutsman said that Kellen Moore has the blueprints to succeed and win a Super Bowl, I think that was a really, really good point that he made. The team wants to win. They're fired up. And I think that this is a team that's easy to write off. And again, I'm not going to sit here and say it's going to be beautiful, but I think that there definitely are things to be optimistic about. And I think that this is definitely a team that you can be excited about compared to where we've been in the past few years. Maybe I'm very optimistic. Maybe I'm overly positive about this situation, but I just firmly believe even if it's not a great year, we're at least moving in the right direction for the future. Now, let's be honest. We can't sit here and have a conversation and say, oh my God, it's all going to be sunshine and rainbows, because that's not true. The Saints are not going to win a Super Bowl this year. Maybe they can win the division. It's a weak NFC South. Maybe they can sniff out a wild card spot. I think that's a little unlikely. But this is a fresh team. This is a young team. It is led by innovative minds. And not only is the coaching staff, the players are also on a mission. They're on a mission to prove a lot of people wrong. They're on a mission to silence a lot of the haters. They're on a mission to bring quality football back to the city of New Orleans, giving Saints fans something to be proud of, because that's not something that we have had over the last few years. They're trying to reinnovate and re-amplify New Orleans Saints football, and that in itself is something to get excited about. And I will say I still value the veteran presence. I know that the youth movement has been a big theme for New Orleans. They have been getting younger. They made 9 draft picks. They got 9 rookies, 8 of them under contract. Tyler Shuck will be under contract pretty soon. 9 young players. Say what you want about Shuck, but they still have 9 rookie contracts that they can work with. I value the veteran presence, though, because I do think that they can teach these young players some things. And I think that they can help usher in the new era of Saints football. And I think that they can help develop these young players and learn the game of football at a professional level. There's a lot of really good value here, but who better to tell you about it than the Stutz himself? There's some really good players around you to help you kind of learn a little bit early in the career. Demario Davis, Pete Werner come to mind. What's it like playing alongside those guys, and what's kind of been your early experience with those dudes?
For sure. You have to be a sponge for, all their knowledge. Obviously those guys, Demario and in specific has played a lot of ball. He's kind of seen it all. So anytime, he's, in meetings where he's able to share something, share some knowledge, you want to be writing it down, just be able to, take in all that information. Pete as well, I've, had a few more snaps with Pete, out in the field. And then just hearing their communication, they're able to take it to kind of the next level. Obviously, I'm still trying to adjust that playbook and all that, but to see what a high level looks like, it's great to learn from 2 great veterans right there.
Absolutely. And what are some of the things that you've been able to learn from Demario Davis just in Pete Werner early in the OTAs and minicamp process that maybe you didn't have in your arsenal when you were out at OU?
Absolutely. Obviously, film studies somewhere, you're always looking to improve. That's kind of where you have to get the edge at this next level. It can't always be physical, especially during OTAs where, it's a lot more mental side of it. And with the new defensive coordinator, there's a lot of veterans that were there, so it's good to learn from them. Demario, he watching how he studies the game, what goes into it. he kind of has a different approach in some aspects that's new. Obviously, in high school and college, I took film to a really high extent, trying to get that edge. But he's had so many years, a lot to you get little details here and there, and you can fine tune your game. What he's reading from the quarterback's eyes, their formations, their motions, and just able to pick up on that and elevate your game faster.
Now, Danny Stutsman really hit the nail on the head when he talked about being a sponge around this team. And I do believe with Danny Stutsman in the linebacker position specifically, leaning into players like Demario Davis is a great idea. Pete Werner as well. That's a guy who's going to compete with and play alongside. But also, Alontae Taylor, lean into Isaac Yiadom. Jonas Senker, lean into Tyrann Mathieu. Kool-Aid McKinstry, you can also lean into Isaac Yiadom. Alontae Taylor, maybe not as much on Isaac Yiadom, but Kool-Aid McKinstry, Rico Payton, Quincy Riley, learn from these veterans that have been around for a while. I do think that there's a lot of quality veterans that have been around the league long enough and seen enough football that they can help coach these new young players and help the transition from college to professional level be much more seamless and have a lot more success. In the film study, what Danny Stutsman had to say around there was really, really interesting. I loved how he described Demario Davis and how he studies the game. And I really am excited to see how the veterans can bring in the new era of Saints football and help, go out with the old, in with the new, but in a very clean and team-oriented way. I think that's going to be a really unique approach, and I think it's going to be a really cool transition as we move on from the veterans that we've all come to know and love, some of the fan favorites, and we bring in the new faces who will become those fan favorites. Now, we have over 47,000 Saints fans who have subscribed to the channel, and if you consider yourself one rowdy son of a gun, if you bleed black and gold and you are a die-hard member of the Who Dat Nation, I highly encourage you to join our Golden Gang. 47,000 Saints fans trust us to give them daily content, and I hope that you will too. Now, preparation this season will be very, very important. The young coaching staff has to take the preparation side of things very, very seriously because there are some quality players that have been around and can maybe rely on instincts, but there's also a lot of young players that you need to set up for success. There's a lot of changes in schemes. There's a lot of changes in play calling. There's a lot of changes in leadership. And there's young talent all over the roster. So preparation and knowing what you're going to be battling and facing every week is extremely important. You have to set yourself up for success ahead of time because personally, I don't believe that this team is quite there yet in order to come and climb themselves out of a hole and dig themselves out of an issue. If they find themselves down 14, I don't necessarily know if this team is quite there yet to be able to know this is where we go, this is what we do, here's where we move the ball, here's who steps in here. I think that will come with time, but we're just not there quite yet. So setting yourself up for success ahead of time can only help. And I think Danny Stutsman explains the importance of preparation and how he prepares really, really cool. And he has some really interesting thoughts. So I want to see what he has to say and share that with y'all. Can you kind of describe what your, maybe your pregame ritual is or how you prepare for a game? Like, what does it take to be a football player in the National Football League and play at such a high level in the SEC?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, obviously, if you're trying to, prepare right before the game, it's too late. Preparation starts, as soon as the game's over, taking care of your body, but then, you got to get right to the film. So usually kind of on the flight back or the drive back, you're going through the tape. And every single day, you're just going through different stuff. So typically earlier in the week, you're looking at the first downs, second downs, all the base yardage. And then as you move on, just dissecting the third downs. And then kind of situationals on where they are in the field, going into the red zone, where they are in certain yard lines, near the logo, what you're expecting. If they're kind of a play it safe on second and short, just get the first down, or if they're willing to take shots. And so the faster you can get all that information down, find certain formations where you can find little caveats and, find cues that will help you play. And it might take, 10 hours in the week, but if it can help me make one extra play, then it's all worth it at the end of the day.
Look, the way that Danny Stutsman kind of laid out that timeline, that preparation starts as soon as the game is over, I think that is really, really interesting. And going through the tape, knowing what kind of looks you have to face, knowing and finding the caveats and the cues that you can look for and listen for in an offense it's very, very interesting to hear. And one key detail that really stuck out to me in this entire interview, to be totally honest, he talked about 10 plus hours could go into preparation in terms of film study and just getting ready for the week. And maybe that helps with one extra play. But in the National Football League, one extra play can be the difference between a win and a loss. The New Orleans Saints were victims of one possession losses multiple times last season. And if you remember, they had a final record of 5-12. Now, if you win all 6 of these, that's 11 wins, and you are making the playoffs. If you win 3 of these games, specifically the NFC South games, you make the playoffs and you host a game. On top of that, if you just pick any of these 2 or 3 games, I mean, you can definitely see where I'm going with this. It makes a big difference. You win some of those games that are one possession losses, 1-point losses, comes down to one mistake, comes down to stupid penalties, or comes down to not operating efficiently at the end of the game, or creating too big of a hole to dig themselves out of early on. Like, I think that this is really, really intriguing and really, really interesting. You have young players who already take the preparation side of things seriously, and I think that that will be a trait and a quality that can become infectious in the entire locker room, and I think that that will only help elevate the entire roster and make this defense better. Now, why is this huge news? We've talked about it. I already know there's people in the comments being like, you just made clickbait. There's no huge news. Blah, 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 blah. Alrighty, first of all, I'm going to tell you, there is huge news in this. We heard firsthand how the New Orleans Saints are approaching this season. We heard firsthand how the defense is going to operate. We heard firsthand how the mindset has shifted in New Orleans and the culture that is being built by the coaching staff. We got a sneak peek of the new defense that's being installed. We are learning about the future. We're getting to take a look behind the curtain at what's ahead for this team. Because right now, this season, of course, it's about right now, but it's also about the future. So I think the big news is that we're headed in the right direction. We have young leadership. We have a new defense. We're fixing problems. We've plugged issues where there were holes. Last year, the running defense was horrible. The rushing defense was absolutely abysmal. They got a lot of run stoppers in this entire offseason, through the draft, through the trade of Devon Gottschalk, through free agency with Justin Reed especially. You have addressed needs. This isn't going to be a glorious season. They're not winning a Super Bowl, but they are headed in the right direction. And ladies and gentlemen, I will tell you that is good news. Now let's show some love to the defense. 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 I know my guy Loco Lopez put that up there because it applies to him. I'm just kidding. Love my guy, producer Lopez. Hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Normally we have a little tagline that I like to say, but, I'm going to let someone else take the honors. Any chance we can get a y'all stay golden just to sign off?
Absolutely. Y'all stay golden. Who dat nation?
Y'all stay golden. Appreciate it, Trace.
Love to see it. Appreciate you guys. This is Danny. This is Steve Stutsman. My name is Trizzy Trace Girouard. Y'all stay golden, and we'll see you next time.